hosted by the National Veterans Art Museum. I'm Sarah Eilefson, Grants and Communications Coordinator for the National Veterans Art Museum, here with a special guest, veteran and artist Erica Slone. Thanks for joining me. The National Veterans Art Museum is located at 4041 North Milwaukee Avenue on the second floor. You can visit us Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. We are free and open to the public each day. For more information, you can always visit us on the web at www.nvam.org. We'd be pleased to take your calls today, so if you have a question, please dial 312-738-1060. A few highlights going on at the museum, several exciting things to let you know about. The first is that this Saturday, we're having an open house sponsored by the Lost Veterans Project. Did you know that most veterans are not registered for their VA benefits that they deserve and are entitled to? So on Saturday, Vietnam veteran and a guest on our last month's show, Bill Christ, is offering a free workshop to get you registered for your VA benefits. You can stop by anytime this Saturday between 2 and 5 p.m. All the paperwork will be there. Get you registered. Plus, if you and your friends or family members join us for that workshop, generous restaurants in the area will offer a discount on dinner, and we'll be pleased to offer you free tickets to Chicago Sky WNBA basketball games on September 6th. So nothing to lose and a lot to gain. The second thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is that we're a great educational resource with print, in-person, and web-based learning tools. So on August 17, we're having an education open house to let you know about all the resources that we're offering. That'll happen on August 17 from 1 to 5 p.m. And lastly, as always, we'll have a show opening for Veterans Day, Monday, November 11, entitled Esprit De Corps, a phrase I'm sure many veterans are familiar with. This exhibition highlights the spirit of creative resilience. We'll be partnering up with the performance company Erasing the Distance, and they'll be premiering their show Veterans Voices that evening. So save the date for Veterans Day, November 11th. I'd like to turn the conversation to Erica. But again, if you have any questions, please give us a call at 312-738-1060. So, Erica, if you don't mind starting us off with a little bit about you as a person. What's your background?
Well, I come from southeastern Ohio. I joined the military, the Air Force, in 2002. I'm an Iraq veteran. I separated, and now I'm making work involving veterans issues.
Okay.
Veterans issues.
How long were you in the Air Force for?
6 years.
6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And are you still in Ohio?
I am not. I'm a recent arrival. I moved up here just a month ago today. So.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. And what about you as an artist? Do you consider yourself a lifelong artist? Did you start making art as a kid? Is this something a post-service?
No, I was always interested in art. But where I grew up, it didn't seem like a reasonable career choice. It seemed like an extracurricular activity that you could never do as a job. So I joined the military. Kind of let the art practice lie for a little bit. Every once in a while I dabble, but when I separated, that's what I chose to pursue.
Okay. So what kind of art media do you work in? You know, when we talk about artists, so often we think two-dimensional art, but that's not it.
No, not necessarily. I do two-dimensional works, and you'll see some, at least in my process. But I'm a social engagement artist, really. I'm interested in societal problems, so I work collaboratively, Sarah, with different disciplines. So most artists work, if they're working collaboratively, why am I choosing that word again? They'll work with other artists, and pair up, and they'll attack problems around the art.
Okay.
They'll problematize art, and I'm interested in societal problems, so I'll work with different disciplines. I work with sociologists sometimes. I work with mental health providers, especially to get information to do my research.
Okay. Fans of our show might remember Not About Bombs. Can TV was gracious enough to come and record the panel discussion that Erica was a part of. But you've had many opportunities to work with the National Veterans Art Museum in the past. This is just the most recent, the show that opened in March and will be on display through September. But you were also part of our Overlook Looked Over exhibit, where you were the curator and an artist in the show.
Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that project, that experience?
Sure. Well, the opening coincided with National Women's Day. So the basic intent of the show was to give the audience a better idea of what veterans can be. When we visualize, I think, as a society, a veteran, we see a white male in a uniform. But there are also women serving, about 20% now today. Mm-hmm. So it's a larger percentage than I think we're used to. So I wanted to represent them. I wanted them to think about their position as a woman in the military and what that meant. As far as equality, identity when they got back, and even assumptions made about their experiences because they're women. So.
That comment about the assumptions made about female veterans because they're women kind of goes back to a conversation we were having earlier. Assumptions made about veteran artists because they're veterans, because they're artists. How much of that identity is intertwined? So I guess my question yeah, is that your perspective? Is that something you feel happens to you?
Well, I think art making is an individual process, and it's very peculiar to the person making it. And my work is autobiographical, so it has a lot. My interests begin with something I observe or something I've experienced. And the military was a significant portion of my life, and I've experienced some things that I think are worth trying to figure out or question. So.
Mm-hmm. And express and share and get other people to talk.
Absolutely. But I don't care about the title. You can call me activist, artist. You can call me a sculptor. I don't think it means too much.
The title doesn't.
No.
Yeah. Maybe let's take a look at some of the work that you're currently doing. What are we looking at here?
This is this is an image of what is it? It's a picture I've manipulated, right? That I've taken, and I've used photographic transparencies and gouache to create a new image. So I'm trying to use what little images and memories I have of certain experiences in order to try to create a narrative. A personal mythology is really the intent. So this is what that is. It's starting to be.
And this is part of a fairly large project,
right,
with many elements. And when you say you're starting with a picture, are we talking digital? Are we talking old school film?
Printed out pictures, old school film.
Okay.
Right. So I'm overlapping in this one a countryside picture, and then myself that was taken while I was in Mosul, Iraq. So trying to, quite obviously put the two together and try to figure out what that means.
To have a portrait of you in a place.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What's the name of this project?
Oh, what is it? I don't know. What should it be? What do you think?
I'm the wordsmith, but I don't get to come up with.
You are. I often refer to car crashes, and there is a car crash in here. So the working title is Camels, Car Crashes, and Cowboys, I think. I think that about covers it. What do you think? Maybe.
I don't know if I saw a cowboy.
Maybe cowboys, camels, and car crashes. Right?
Yeah. Where do you do most of your work? Do you rent studio space? Are you able to do this kind of on the fly as you out of your home?
Right. Well, yes, I work a lot in my home, and because a lot of what I do is collaboration. So I'm on the internet. I'm emailing, and I'm making phone calls. I'm doing research. So I am based out of home mostly.
Okay. Yeah. One of the projects that you're trying to get started is a social engagement art practice opportunity at the museum. Youth-facing, perhaps, but getting area high school youth in dialogue with veteran artists over the art-making practice.
Right. In my current works in progress, I think is a good starting point for doing that, because what I'm really doing is trying to understand my experiences and trying to create some sort of reconciliation, a personal mythology of myself. So I think doing that process can be translated into the inner city school children, so they can be more aware of their experiences and what that means.
Mm-hmm. The National Veterans Art Museum is frequently talking about the statistics of, Chicago area students who have seen violence in their lives, a huge problem, but also the decreasing number of youth who have any active engagement with a military veteran, right? The older you are, the more likely you are to know a veteran, but as the statistical frame skews younger, that likelihood goes way down. So we have all of this youth who don't have very much direct engagement with the military, right? Not helped by the fact that less than 1% of the nation's population is in the military.
Yes.
So that's a dialogue we're hoping to work with Erica to help bring together.
Right.
Yeah. Again, if you have any questions for us, please give us a call at 312-738-1060. Why the Air Force?
Why the Air Force?
Yeah.
The Air Force was presented to me as if it was a better avenue for gaining education.
Okay.
But then I chose to be a police officer, so no real time to pursue that.
While you were in the Air Force?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you enlist right out of high school? Did you take some time
I
before?
took some time, and then realized there was nothing to do. So yeah.
Yeah.
Took a little time.
Yeah. I'll take a moment just to remind you of what we have going on at the museum today. We have 3 exhibits on display. The first is The Things They Carried, which features work from the permanent collection. It's inspired by Tim O'Brien's book of the same name. And as we were talking about our educational resources, The Things They Carried is required reading in most schools throughout the country. So we're hoping with that open house and the launch of our new The Things They Carried interactive website to make that educational tool available to teachers throughout the country and to students. The second exhibit is Not About Bombs, which Erica facilitated and which opened this March. That'll be on display through this October, and it features work by 5 female Iraqi artists. The third is called Tenacity and Truth. We just opened that on Memorial Day, and it'll stay up through May 2014. This is our most expansive exhibition to date, featuring work from World War II, Vietnam, Korea, the Cold War, the Gulf War, and the war in Iraq. A big show, 59 pieces of art by 50 artists. Esprit De Corps will go in where Not About Bombs is now, and that'll open this Veterans Day. Let's go back and talk a little bit about Not About Bombs. Identity, representation, women, not veterans, how did that all come together? How did this show fit in?
Well, initially, I became interested in Not About Bombs. It was an exhibit already up in Milwaukee. And I wanted to bring them in as a panel discussion or something to incorporate with Overlooked, Looked Over. So to get the female Iraqis' perspective, women, around the war. But we became so interested in the show, we thought it served, it could serve a place on its own in the museum. So it's about understanding who is affected, who are the participants of war. And we think of the veterans, we think of soldiers, but we don't necessarily think of civilians, or in particular women, or the enemy, right? The quote-unquote enemy. So it's it needs to be discussed.
Right. And when conflicts aren't happening on our soil, it's that identification across so many borders, I think, is what's so difficult. How do you understand somebody who's in a war zone if you've never been in a war zone? How do you understand a civilian whose life is so different than your own? And now put those together.
Absolutely. And that's, like I said, it's not discussed, and it needs to be. We need to have a better understanding of what war really is.
Yeah. And so for that show, you participated in a panel discussion with the curator, with a sociologist, with an activist, and that conversation is available on YouTube, on our website, and on the CAN TV's website. But what conversation has that show spurred? What have you heard people say?
At first, I think people are a little confused as to how it fits in the museum. But I think recently people have become more, interested in what it's about, because it's not commonly explored, as we're talking about. So, yeah, I think it's raising some eyebrows, and that's what art should do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can speak. Museum goers often would ask that question, how does this fit in? And they'd work their way through the gallery and come back and say, wow, right? I hadn't thought about it like that. I hadn't seen anything like that. And there's a video installation piece, there's several portraits, and more mixed media pieces. So it's a pretty complex, engaging show. One of the pieces you had shown in Overlook Looked Over was kind of a complicated piece and ties into your personal mythology. How do people engage with sculpture pieces like this?
Well, I think just engaging sculpture, it's a whole different experience versus, a painting. So this one is site-specific installation. It's using lighting. It's using the entry point. So your first view of the sculpture is a clean door. Is the clean wall, clean door, slightly ajar.
So viewers would approach it from the left and see the frame and the door.
Yes.
Okay.
And then as they work their way around, there's ugly fallen down wallpaper, a broken floor, and most notably a bed with the mattress ripped out. So it's I think just engaging it at all it's kind of a double take. It gets you thinking a little bit.
Right, and something that you can't just stand in front of and understand. You have to move around, make
Right.
sense of. So that one was on display at our old location as part of Overlook Looked Over. A couple more things that I wanted to make sure everyone knew about is that we're participating in the Chicago Summer of Learning, which is a great opportunity for Chicago students to not let the education stop when the school year ends. Students can earn badges, digital badges, as they complete different challenges. And if they complete different challenges in, the STEAM, science, arts, math, kind of collection of educational outlets, they can qualify for prizes. We have 2 badges available through our partnership with the Veterans History Project Student Edition. So students are invited to come engage with the things they carried, or possibly interview an artist, and earn a badge in journalism. So that's going on all the rest of this summer. We are also partnering with UMedia at the Harold Washington Library to offer workshops every Wednesday in the afternoon at a badge earning station. So students interested in earning badges can head downtown to the Harold Washington Library each Wednesday. More information about that is available on our website. So where's your art practice heading now? You're working on the cowboys and crashes.
And camels.
And camels.
And camels. Yeah, I think that's important. I think the camel needs to be in there. That's where it's hidden. So right now, the images you've shown, I have them in small, photographic size, folded up in my wallet.
Okay.
So, and I'm carrying them around, and I will look at them, and try to provide more data, right, from my present experience. So my here and now gets a part of the personal mythology. That it's not just focused on my military experience, that I'm including it, in my present life. So if you say something funny to me, Sarah, there's a good chance I'm going to write that down.
Well, so is that going into the art, or are you providing context for some of these pieces? I guess my question is, so often art is just art and there's no narrative alongside it. You need to either know the artist or know the story to make sense of the art. Is your art practice along that line? Do you provide more of a narrative?
Well, I think that this work It's hard to say whether it'll need more explanation or it will have to be on view in a certain, area. Because I don't know where it's going. It's a work in progress. I'm still collecting the data. That's what the writing the notes and carrying it around, keeping it with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to push it somewhere. You have any ideas?
I'm working on it. Yeah. If you have any ideas, feel free to give us a call. 312-738-1060. What should we talk about now?
What, tell me about the show getting ready to open in November. You have a big part of that.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Esprit De Corps, an exhibition highlighting the spirit of creative resilience. So taking art as a therapeutic outlet and expression, both of those are on the table. Being mindful of the fact that not every piece of art was created as a therapeutic expression. But yet that same piece of art could still be therapeutic for the viewer.
Right.
And so we're taking that show and we're working through the moment of immediate experience, through the attempt to work through an experience, and kind of that social engagement, that creative engagement practice. How do you get people to understand what you've been through, what you've seen, what you've come to know about the world?
Right.
So we're very happy to be in partnership with Erasing the Distance and their Veterans Voices performance. Those shows will take place the 11th, 12th, 13th, and again Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the following week in the Filament Theater, which is just below us. But our show will, how will it be? That Monday will be open noon to 10 with a reception from 5 to 9. So we'll invite people to come to the space, check out the art, go see the performance, kind of mingle, cross-pollinate that way.
Right.
And then that show will be on display through next August.
Is there any piece in particular you're looking forward to seeing in the show?
I can't reveal too much yet, but we do have a very intricate and exciting mirrored piece by an older veteran, much like Pete Sullivan's Rehumanization. I don't know if you remember that one.
I do.
But we're really excited to see how a mirror can draw people in, reflect people's experiences, and how people will engage with that one.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, 312-738-1060 if you have any questions. In case you're just joining us, I actually want to hit one more time the open house sponsored by the Illinois Lost Veterans Project. Most veterans are not registered for their VA benefits. Even though they are entitled to them, they deserve them. These are great things to have. But we understand that the paperwork process can be complicated. Getting to your VA is not always easy. So this Saturday, from 2 to 5 p.m., Vietnam veteran, artist, and my guest last month, Bill Christ, is hosting a free workshop getting people registered. All the paperwork will be there. Bring your DD-214 if you have it. If you don't, we can request it. And restaurants in the area are offering a little reward for those who take the time to make this happen. 20% discount on your meal from 2 area restaurants. Plus, we have some free tickets to give away. The WNBA is having a military appreciation night. So that's on September 6th. We'd be happy to share those tickets with you as well. That information is on our website, www.nvam.org. So that's this Saturday. So if you have any questions, you can always contact us. info@nvam.org. But since we're running out of time, I'd like to thank you again for joining us. It was a real pleasure to have you. Again, we're the National Veterans Art Museum, located at 4041 North Milwaukee Avenue, and on the web at www.nvam.org. Thanks for watching.